Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Hi, Siddharth. I'm doing very well. It's great to speak to you again after all these many, many months.
Yeah, likewise. I've actually been looking forward to catch up with you because a lot of stuff has happened in general. But before we start, happy belated New Year.
Oh, thank you. You as well. 2025 already.
Yeah, likewise. Okay, we'll start with the subject at hand, which is the general election results. What are your overall thoughts on the 2024 election results? Did the outcome align with your expectations?
Well, I think it did. It was positive. We got about double of the votes we got in the 2021 elections, which were the local elections. So in the 2021 elections, we got almost 7,000 votes. It was
Okay.
6,800. And in these 2024 elections, we got 12,000 votes. So our growth has been positive. I think it's great that we're able to reach more people. We have
Mm-hmm.
2,000 members and proudly 12,000 voters. So we're very excited about that and taking it further to the next step. Of course, we would have loved more publicity,
Mm.
more mainstream media coverage, which we didn't get as a political party with zero corporate funding, only funded by our members and supporters. We had a budget after we paid the IEC. We had a budget of I think just over 300,000 Rand.
Okay.
So that's a fraction. It's a micro fraction of what the main big parties with seats have. They get
Mm.
funding
Mm.
from government, they get funding from taxpayers. So if you look at the difference between our budgets, I think we did
Mm-hmm.
really, really well.
Mm.
And I'm
Mm.
looking forward to the 2026 elections. I just can't believe it's just a year away. It's around the
Mm.
corner, and that's kind of scary.
Mm. Okay. How did OHM perform in the elections? Were there any surprises, positive or negative?
Well, obviously, we didn't get a seat. So, in order to get a seat, you need in these elections, with the calculations afterwards, you'd need about 60,000 votes to get
Okay.
a seat. So, it's a lot. It's a lot of work that we have ahead of
Mm.
us. So, in terms of that, no, we knew that if we got a seat, it would be an absolute miracle. And we were hoping for a miracle, but still. There weren't really any surprises in that regard. The voting was interesting. We
Mm-hmm.
had volunteers at various voting stations, but we didn't have enough volunteers on the ground to be at all the voting stations to check. Interesting story. We
Mm-hmm.
had quite a number, um, quite a significant number of people who were voting for us and checking the
Mm-hmm.
dashboard online. And
Mm-hmm.
they were in the cases where they were the sole voter in their municipality or their voting district, they actually didn't see their vote tally or register. But this is a problem I believe happened to all parties across the
Mm.
system.
Mm.
So it's probably a glitch in their system, unfortunate. And it's just evidence that we can't rely on electronic voting in the future. And I'm afraid that's where the government wants us to go.
Okay. I know this question is going to be off the cuff, but then what would you rely on?
Well, the way we have been voting is a great system, contrary to popular belief.
Mm-hmm.
People criticize the current system, but it can work under
Mm-hmm.
one specific circumstance. If there are enough parties with enough volunteers in every voting station. So, to give it a proper number in your head, there's
Mm-hmm.
around 4,000 wards
Mm-hmm.
across the country. In each ward, there are about 4 to 5, sometimes more, voting stations. A voting station is your nearest place where you go and vote. And so that means there would be about 20,000 voting stations across the country. So if we can have at least 2 or 3 parties with one volunteer stationed at each voting station across the country and observing the counting process specifically, then the current system we have, the way we
Mm-hmm.
manually vote on paper, is an
Mm-hmm.
absolutely flawless system. But it does count on the participation of citizens as volunteers
Mm.
for parties during election years.
Okay. What were the biggest challenges OHM faced during the election campaign?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think trying to be everywhere at one time. I think that
Mm.
we've always
Mm.
taken the approach of uh, trying to get our voice heard everywhere in South Africa
Mm.
instead of just
Mm.
focusing on 1 or 2 municipalities. And that's even going to be a challenge in our next elections, the local government elections, because we do have members in every province across the country. we don't actually concentrate our energy on one or two places. And sometimes I wonder, should we do that? Should we just focus on Joburg, Durban, and Cape Town, for instance, the three biggest metros? But at the same time, it feels so wrong to leave behind the rest of our voters, members, and supporters. So we take a broader approach, which I think you only really see the true tangible results in a longer time frame than if you had to focus on one or two areas. So in the last elections, I think, the manpower on the ground, mainstream media coverage, of course, SABC Morning Live, interestingly, interviewed absolutely every single political party that contested, except for the organic humanity movement. And I think that's quite unfortunate. So the media bias, the refusal for some journalists to want to speak about system change, those are some of our biggest obstacles. It's very sad, but hopefully we can overcome that in 2026. And I would love to partner up with other local South African YouTubers to do exactly that, provide an alternative media and provide an alternative message, a message people actually want to hear. It's amazing how on the government-sponsored channels, they don't want to push for system change specifically.
Yeah. Okay, and my fourth one is, what key lessons has OHM learned from this election, and how will they influence your strategy going forward?
I think bigger focus on funding, definitely. I think that will help us a lot. We had posters up. How many posters did we order? I think we ordered 2,000 posters, which again is a micro fraction of what other parties. I know another party that wasn't before represented that now has seats. They printed about over 100,000 posters. So they'd obviously got some big funding somewhere to print a lot of posters. So I think our main focus has to be, unfortunately, funding, which we still aim to do from the ground up, from the people. We don't want corporate funding. We don't want big money. We don't want influence. We don't want people who want to pull strings behind the scenes. We want to be a member crowd-funded movement. And so we'll just drive that harder. We are looking at offering different membership fee structures, which will hopefully bring some more funds into the movement so that we can do bigger things before 2026. And that's actually very exciting.
Do you think the election results indicate a shift in South African politics, or voters moving toward alternative parties like yours?
It's hard to say. I actually think in the next elections it'll be more so. The fact that the GNU was formed and has disappointed so many people, I think now is the time for new voters to decide to vote for new parties. But I think in 2024 that was not the case. I think people, and that's especially feedback I got, some people split their votes between OHM and their favorite party just because of brand awareness, the fact that they know a brand for longer, they're trusted more. And I think that's quite an unfortunate effect of psychology marketing that has effect on South African voters. So no, I don't think people really were that open to new parties, although I'm glad we got our 12,000. But I think what happened in 2024, if the voting results are correct, is that we had the most people stay away from the ballot box than ever before. And I think that is a very sad thing. And even now, as I talk to people, they look at the country, they read the news, they look at their bank accounts and their unemployment status, and they think, no, I'm not going to vote for anyone. The system's broken. And I think that's going to be my biggest job as the leader of OHM, is to convince those people that you can't not vote, because all you're doing is then empowering those that are completely opposed to your ideology and what you want. So OHM is that vehicle. It's almost like a no vote. It's a vote against the system, but it's still using the system in order to draw power away from those that are oppressing South Africa and South African citizens.
Okay, what are your biggest concerns about South Africa's political future based on these results?
A lot. I think active citizenry. I think people still very much want a leader instead of taking charge of their own lives. So they want government to solve all the problems. And unfortunately, this is the issue with that. I mean, it would be nice if government could just wave a magic wand and fix every issue, but it's not going to happen because of the nature of the beast. Government is designed to take more and more power for itself. And in the name of creating safer communities, in the name of combating crime, in the name of peace and equality, what happens is that the governments and the politicians make laws that actually take away the individual freedom of citizens. And it actually doesn't deal with the root cause of the problem at large. We see this when it comes to the bills that are being passed currently. And I think that as citizens, we actually have to become aware of what is the real problem. And we can't keep legislating government failure away because it doesn't work. And that's what we have been doing. And was it Albert Einstein says you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So I think in a sense, it's not just voter education, it's citizen education that is at the heart of fixing South African politics.
Okay, so what's next for OHM? How will the party continue engaging with the public after the elections?
Well, we have to kick off with our 2026 campaign, and we'll be planning for that very shortly this year. We're going to have to get candidates ready, funding ready, and put together a strategy to reach everybody in South Africa, regardless of the obstacles that stand in our way. And so we'll probably be making use of social media, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and all the rest to reach people and to reach people in an organic way. And as per usual with our 2,000 members, we always say if you're becoming a member of OHM, we're putting you to work. And so our members also have a responsibility to reach out to their neighborhoods and communities and tell everyone that they come into contact with about OHM. And a lot of our members do a great job at doing just that. So it's just about expanding on what we've already been doing and reaching more people.
Okay. How can South Africans who resonate with OHM's vision get involved now outside of election season?
Oh, that's pretty easy. We have a website, ohm.org.za. You can become a member. Once you become a member, you'll be put into contact with other members in your area. We are always looking for an area activator. So as an area activator, you would become someone that initiates activities for both OHM members and the public to engage with the organic humanity movement on a very localized level and learn more about what we want to do with regards to system change. So that's one of the things. We also are always looking for candidates. We're going to need lots of candidates. Because it's local government elections, we can only contest where we have a candidate. So if anyone is interested in being a ward councillor, then do contact us via our website and we'll be more than happy to interview you and put you through our approval process. And we also provide basic training so that it's not a complete shock to you. There'll be some campaigning, and then obviously we'll equip you with a certain understanding of the role of what a ward councillor is should OHM get a seat in your local municipality. So area activator, that's our internal branch structures. As a candidate, that's for the future elections. We're always looking for subject matter experts because we are focusing a lot now on creating, we have our manifesto, and now we're creating solution proposals, which will inform all future government policy at both the national and local level. So if you're an industry expert in education or in, water infrastructure or whatever it might be, in energy perhaps, then we will make use of your skills and your knowledge if you are willing to give that to the organic humanity movement so that we can create solutions that work for the people of South Africa.
Okay. What message do you have for South Africans who are feeling disillusioned with the political system after these elections?
I think that the level of crazy that we've seen in the news lately has really escalated a lot, which can leave many people feeling hopeless. Never mind the economic threat lying over all of our heads with regards to government decisions that are going to destroy the economy. So I think it's a very tough time tangibly. It's not just mentally worrying about what could happen, but it's actually seeing tangibly how government failure is affecting everybody's pockets. And so it's very, very hard. But I think what we're seeing with all the parties and politics taking place is their last final desperate attempt to clutch onto power. I think this country is very ripe for system change. And I think people just need to have hope and know that there might come a time in this country where they will be called upon to act so that we can liberate South Africa and change the system finally. And I believe that OHM is that hope. We have a plan to change the system, a tangible plan. We have very specific things we want to change. And we are also we have to work now to do so. The more people that know about the manifesto that we have, read the manifesto, understand the manifesto, the more people that can spread the message, the better. And you don't even have to go out of your comfort zone. You can simply just download a manifesto if it's something you believe in and pass it on to everyone else. OHM has the framework in which a new South Africa can be governed, completely liberated from old systems and old schools of thought that are clearly not working for this country, for the people of this country, and specifically also the youth of the country. We need to change education, the healthcare system. We need to change the justice system. We need to change our political system. And we need to change more than anything how we elect our leaders so that we can finally have a starting point. And once we have that starting point in South Africa, only then can things get better. So there's a lot of work ahead. But I think as long as one is actively working towards a goal, then you can have hope.
Okay, my final question to you is, what practical steps can South Africans take today to help bring about real political and social change?
I think that depends on where each person is on their journey, but to really start from the basics, read the Constitution of South Africa, spend some time on the government's parliamentary websites, get to know what's happening at that level, what bills are being passed that the news does not cover. A very, very key integral part of what the organic humanity stands for is actually countering the adverse effects of the fourth industrial revolution designed by Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum. So another thing people can do is go and read what the World Economic Forum is all about. Read it in depth. Read the United Nations Agenda 21 and inform yourself of their Sustainable Development Goals. Read South Africa's National Development Program. And if you read all this material I've just said, then you'll understand the true problem at the heart of South African politics. We answer to global masters that have no interest in the prosperity of South Africa or South Africa's independence or sovereignty. Only we, the people, can create a South African culture, a South African identity, and more important, a strong South African state with which we can lead the people of South Africa. It takes citizens acting together to do that. So I think knowledge is the most important. And then don't stay away from the ballot box when that time comes. And then join, I don't care which political party you join, actually. Of course, I'd prefer it if you join the Organic Humanity Movement. But join any party and become a pest. Make sure they hear your voice. Get involved and volunteer. We need active citizenry. In a democracy, the minute citizens go to sleep, then communism takes over. And dictatorship takes over. So unfortunately, if you believe in the concept of democratic principles, not necessarily a democratic system, but democratic principles in the system in which you live, it requires active citizenry, and we don't have a lot of that. And it's just informing yourself of what's going on that's the most important. And also just questioning when a politician comes and proposes a solution, ask what are they actually doing. They're usually taking your rights and your power away from you when they are creating legislation. And it's just about being awake to that. Just an example is the surveillance we have. Here in Cape Town, we have a lot of surveillance. The, what do you call them? Mako member of police, safety, security, whatever, bragged about how the drones are so high up in the sky that the people on the ground can't see them while they are watching us in high definition. That was a bragging point for our government here in Cape Town. And I think that's absolutely sad and shocking. Unfortunately, many of the citizens rallied behind them and said, yes, it's about time that the government tackles crime. Unfortunately, we might, if you look at the plans of the World Economic Forum and so on, we might reach a stage where what you consider right and good might be considered a crime in the eyes of the government. And it's those kinds of things we have to watch out for. We can never give government more power than the individual has. Well, the minute we do that, we've lost the battle. Freedom and individual liberty specifically is something you have to hold on every single day consciously. You cannot rest a moment. And unfortunately, we've already slipped into a lull where people want to give their power away. As long as they don't have to get involved, government must solve all the problems, but it's clearly not working for us.
All I gotta say is thanks so much for your time once again, and yeah, please keep in touch. I'll be glad to continue chatting to you on the updates whenever anything new comes out. Because sometimes you never know what we actually see on TV. Sometimes we don't know if it's propaganda or the real thing happening.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Siddharth. I'd love to engage on further issues and further happenings. And when we start our official campaign, I'll definitely let you know.
All right. Thanks so much. Take care and God bless.
Thank you. Bye.